Good morning. Hope we are all good. Finished our morning sessions today. The bad news is I now have ladders in my tights. But the good news is I now understand how ladders are created. So there is a lesson there. Anyway, I want to talk today about fasting. Had a question, morning Stephanie, about intermittent fasting. Should I try it? And it's that time of the year where a lot of people will be thinking about what to do in January, and it's good to kind of get a plan in place, if you like. And someone asked me, do you think I should do fasting? It's very much out there at the moment. Can it work? So can it work? Yes, because if you think what fasting is, fasting, if you don't know, is essentially not eating for a period of time. So that could be that you don't eat for 8 hours. It could be that you don't eat for 16 hours and you have an 8-hour eating window. Now, the good thing about this is obviously it reduces the potential to overeat, because the less you eat, less time you eat, the less opportunity you have to overeat. So, for example, if I stop eating at 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. and I don't start eating till 12 p.m. the next day, that's that evening, which, maybe you often eat rubbish in the evening, or at that time you're more tempted by things. Plus the morning, you may then not eat at all. Then you've got that shorter eating window. So obviously the positive there is that it can help people almost be aware of their calories, track calories, create a calorie deficit without actually tracking calories specifically. Now, this does, and I always bring this up, depend on you and your relationship with food, because for some people, if you have, say, that long window without eating, it can kind of cause that binge restrict relationship with food, especially if you're at a place where you've often dieted, been reliant on the scales, bad foods, good foods, all or nothing. It can be quite negative, and I will say that from personal experience of working with hundreds, thousands now actually, of people, in that if you've got quite a poor relationship with food, in that you kind of, all you think about is that next meal, you're kind of, that's bad, that's good, you binge eat, you comfort eat. I will say that it's rare that fasting will solve that, very rare. And I would say that actually having more balanced meals can work for you. Now, again, this does depend on you, because that doesn't mean it's not a tool for weight loss. It's a tool in the toolbox that can be used at certain times. I use it sometimes. I didn't quite fancy breakfast at 5 a.m. this morning when I left, so I'm technically fasting now. It's nothing magical going on here. Morning, Alison. Now, on to what the research says on this. Now, the research says that in animals, so not in humans, they show that there might be some therapeutic effects independent of weight loss for fasting. Not to mention that in humans, obviously not eating for a period of time may help lower blood sugar levels, may improve insulin resistance, and has the potential to shorten the window and create a calorie deficit for someone. They're generally the benefits. The research shows that whether you do intermittent fasting or create the calorie deficit by having, say, 3 meals a day, the one that will work best for you is the one that you'll do and stick to for the longest. They did a recent study in this, and they showed that over a 24-week period, both lost significant amounts of weight, both reduced their blood pressure, both reduced hip and waist ratio, which, as I spoke about yesterday, is a really, really important thing, which no one really talks about because it's quite intrusive, and there's quite a lot of human error doing it. Unless the same person does it, it requires a level of training to actually get the right part every time. But that's a good measure of health risk and disease risk and metabolism. So if we look at that, well, they both worked. What's the common thing they had? So in this study, they both had really high levels of support and accountability. So whether they did intermittent fasting or whether they did just a free basic meal a day, no time window, just portion meals, just kept their blood sugar levels stable, whatever worked for them, they both had quite intense lifestyle interventions, Q&As, one-to-ones, support, catch-ups, check-ins, all these things that we do, because the science is very clear on this too, in that the more you check in, the more questions you ask, the more you engage, the better your results. And if you're just given a leaflet or whatever in your placebo, that tends to result in poorer results. So it's just important to consider that, what your support network's like. Have you got someone who can help keep you accountable with that as well? And then going back to your relationship with food and what you want to do, what you feel most comfortable doing. Because like I said, if you're someone who binge eats a lot, comfort eats a lot, is it going to work? Well, it could do, but is it going to just increase that binge restrict mindset? Because sometimes we're eating in the evening because we've starved ourselves all day. We've starved ourselves of dopamine, feel-good hormones, we've satisfaction at our meals, and actually eating a bit more at the meal. You know, we might eat an extra 200 calories a meal throughout the day and have some carbs at a meal, or potato, whatever. Then if that makes us feel satisfied, and we then eat fewer snacks, which are generally easy to overeat, generally more palatable, generally delicious, let's face it, and not very fulfilling and satisfying from a hunger point of view, the opportunity to reduce our overall calories is increased again. So it's sometimes looking at not just about what you're eating at the time, but also how that makes you feel a few hours from now. So I hope that helps. That is my take on intermittent fasting and my take on which might suit you best. Any questions on that, do let me know. Remember, our January Kickstart program starts from the 4th of January. If you want more information on that, just send over a message for me. That can be done in Marlborough, in our private studio, or in Devizes. Any questions, let me know, and have a great day. Okay, speak soon.